On his birthday, I baked a special cake for my boyfriend, just to find out my boyfriend was getting engaged. I was standing in my kitchen at 1:47 a.m., law books open on the table, oven still warm, convincing myself that exhaustion was just another word for ambition. I'd been up since dawn classes, library, grandma's hospital bills, then baking until my hands hurt. The last order mattered. I pressed extra cherries into the frosting one by one. Ben hated when bakeries rushed this part. Details tell you who actually cares, he used to say. I cared. I never loved someone as much as I loved him. In fact, it was him who made me believe in love when we first met our high school welcome party. He was wearing a black three-piece with red bow. I slid the cake into its box, tied the ribbon twice, and called a cab. I didn't even check the address. I knew it by heart. Ben didn't live in a house. He lived behind gates that opened slowly, like they were judging you. I'd been there enough times to know which guard pretended not to see me, which one never asked questions. That night, none of them recognized me.
"Ma'am, you can't go inside," the guard said, stepping in front of the gate.
I blinked. "I'm delivering a cake for Mr. Ben. No entry tonight." I left, a short, confused sound. I've been inside before. He touched his earpiece, then looked at me with something like pity.
"There's an engagement party going on."
The word didn't land at first. Engagement? I repeated. You mean, for who? He paused, then said it, calmly, like he was telling me the weather. For Mr. Ben, ma'am? Something hollow opened in my chest. Not pain, not yet. Just space.
"Didn't he tell you about that? Oh, well. Maybe you're not important to share such special news." She was just another time pass for him. Another guard hurled a comment.
I was hurt with those words, and still can't process that he cheated on me. I looked down at the box in my hands. Still warm, still perfect. Extra cherries. Oh, I said softly, that makes sense. It didn't, but I needed my voice to sound normal. I placed the cake outside the gate, careful not to smudge the frosting. Careful like this still mattered. Then I stepped back, brushed flour off my hoodie, and turned around. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just realized, standing there under his mansion lights, that I had been baking love for a man who'd already given it away. And the worst part? I still hoped he'd like the cake. Ben didn't call me that night. I think that hurt more than the engagement itself. He texted the next morning instead, short, careful, like he was negotiating a settlement. Can we talk, please? I didn't want you finding out like that. I stared at the message while my phone buzzed with bakery notifications. I hadn't answered. Orders piling up. Bills waiting. Grandma asking if I'd slept. I replied anyway. Talk where? He sent me an address I already knew. Not his mansion. A cafe. Neutral ground. Safe ground. For him. When I walked in, he was already there, dressed the way he always dressed when he wanted to look harmless. Soft sweater, no watch, no power. He stood when he saw me. "Catherine," he said, like my name still belonged to him. I didn't sit right away. I placed my bag down slowly. "You're engaged." He exhaled, long, practiced.
"It's not what you think."
That sentence should be illegal. "My father," he began. I raised my hand. "Don't." He froze.
"My father threatened to cut me off, the company, everything. Lisa was strategic. I didn't have a choice."
I waited. He didn't say he loved me. He didn't say he was sorry. I asked the only thing that mattered. How long? He hesitated. That hesitation lasted 7 years. How long, Ben? He looked down.
"We've been together since grad school."
I felt something inside me rearrange itself quietly, like furniture being moved out of a room you thought you still lived in. 7 years, I said slowly. So what was I? He reached for my hand. I pulled it back. "You were real," he said. "Just not permanent." I smiled. Not because it was funny, because if I didn't, I would have broken something. "So you dated her publicly," I said, "and hid me like a side project?" "Catherine, you were busy. Law school, baking. I didn't think." "You didn't think I'd find out," I finished. Silence stretched between us. Then he said the thing that ended whatever was left. "You understood my situation." I stood up. "I understood you," I said. That was the problem. He followed me outside, voice low, desperate now. "I never stopped caring about you." I turned around, finally angry. "You let me put extra cherries on a cake for your engagement," I said. "Don't talk to me about care." His face drained of color. That's when I realized something worse than betrayal. He never meant to tell me. I was supposed to disappear quietly. That night I went home, packed my baking tools into boxes, and donated what I couldn't carry. I closed my order page without posting an explanation. People kept asking why I stopped baking. I told them I was busy. The truth was simpler. I was done making sweet things for people who swallowed me whole. I didn't stop loving Ben overnight. I stopped believing in him. There's a difference. I finished law school the way people survive storms. One exam, one bill, one hospital receipt at a time. My grandmother never asked why I came home quieter. She just squeezed my hand and said, "Some men teach you, some men test you." I let the ovens go cold. Baking had been my way of feeling chosen. Law became my way of choosing myself. After graduation, I didn't chase glamour firms. I went where contracts were ugly, and people lied. Badly, compliance, ethics, corporate cleanup. The kind of work that doesn't forgive patterns. Years passed. My name became something people said carefully. Then the email arrived. Senior legal counsel confidential offer, the email reads. The company was massive. Old money, clean public image. The CEO? Lisa. I stared at the screen for a long time. Not because of Ben. Because of timing. Lisa didn't recognize me when we met. Why would she? I wasn't the girl waiting at gates anymore. I was the woman who corrected her CFO without raising my voice. She watched me closely. Smart women always do. You're precise, she said after our second meeting. You don't overpromise. I don't need to, I replied. That's when she hired me. Working for Lisa was unexpected. She wasn't cruel. She wasn't naive. She was cautious in a way only women surrounded by powerful men learn to be. She asked questions that sounded casual but weren't. One evening, after a long review session, she said quietly, Do you think people reveal themselves eventually? I didn't look up from the document. Only when they think no one's watching. She nodded, like she'd been waiting for that answer. Weeks later, she called me into her office. This time the blinds were closed. I want you to draft a post-marital corporate safeguard, she said. Not a standard prenup. I felt my pulse slow. What kind? I asked. The kind that protects the company, she replied. From internal risk. She slid a folder across the desk. Ben's name was on it. My hand didn't shake. I understood then this wasn't coincidence. This was alignment. I didn't design a trap. I designed a structure that rewarded honesty and punished patterns. No accusations. No morality clauses. Just consequences for misrepresentation. Ben signed every page, smiled at me like we were strangers. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying and freeing. He didn't recognize me. He never saw me. And this time, that blindness would cost him everything. Ben didn't read the agreement. I know that because men like him never do. He skimmed, joked, signed, treated the pages like formalities, standing between him and permanence. Between him and safety, I made sure the language was boring, neutral, corporate, the kind of document no one believes can hurt them. Clause after clause built on one idea. Truth is optional, patterns aren't. Lisa insisted I walk her through it. What happens if he lies? She asked. He doesn't lose anything, I said. At first. And later? Later the contract stops protecting him. She watched me carefully. You've done this before. I met her eyes. I've seen it done to others. That wasn't a lie. Ben started slipping almost immediately. Not dramatically, casually. Private emails rerouted through assistants. Side meetings labeled consultations. Minor disclosures delayed just long enough to matter. I logged everything. Not emotionally. Professionally. Lisa never asked for details. She didn't need them. She trusted the structure. That was her mistake, or her genius. The trigger wasn't an affair. It was ego. Ben authorized a financial maneuver he thought no one would trace small, clever, deniable. He used the marriage like a shield, the company like a tool. The contract noticed. 3 flags activated quietly. Inconsistent disclosures. Strategic misrepresentation. Ethics review authorization. No alarms, no confrontation. Just process. The board meeting was routine, quarterly, predictable, safe. Ben walked in confident, charming, already planning his speech. I sat at the far end of the table, neutral, invisible. Halfway through, Lisa closed her folder. I'd like to pause here, she said calmly. Legal, please. That was me. I stood, not to accuse, to inform. An internal review has been triggered under Section 9C, I said. Effective immediately. Ben laughed softly. Triggered by what? I met his eyes for the first time in years. By you, I said. By the end of the week, his signing authority was suspended, his board access limited, his accounts under review. No press, no scandal, just removal. He called me that night, dozens of times. I didn't answer. The next morning, Lisa asked me one final question. Did you know this would happen? I closed the file in front of me. I knew it was possible. She nodded. Good, I don't like surprises. Neither did I. But this wasn't a surprise. It was a pattern completing itself. The marriage didn't end in a fight. It ended in an email. Subject, annulment filed, effective immediately. I read it twice before forwarding it to legal archives. Reason stated, material misrepresentation prior to union. No betrayal clause. No emotional language. Just fact. Ben lost the company first. The title second. The illusion last. He finally stopped calling and started showing up. He waited outside the building one evening, hands in his pockets like he used to when he wanted sympathy. You wrote it, he said when he saw me. Not accusing, tired. Yes, I replied. You planned this. I shook my head. You planned it. I just documented it. He laughed softly, the sound breaking halfway. Lisa knew, didn't she? Yes. That was the only kindness left. He looked at me, then really looked, not as the girl who baked, not as the secret he managed, as the woman he underestimated. I never meant to hurt you, he said. I believed him. That didn't change anything. You didn't hurt me, I replied. You revealed yourself. As I walked away, he called after me. What about the cake? I stopped. For the first time, I let myself feel it. I hope someone ate it, I said. It had extra cherries. I didn't turn back. That night, I went home to my grandmother. She was asleep in her chair, the TV humming low. I covered her with a blanket and stood in the kitchen for a long time. I didn't bake. I didn't need to. Some things are meant to be left at the gate. I learned that night some men don't break your heart. They show you where not to build again.